Funnels aren't your problem. Funnels are your excuse. See, everyone is trying to automate, delegate, and scale, but no one's actually talking about the one move that has helped me build my business and many other businesses that I've worked with to high six figures and beyond. Now, it's not sexy. In fact, at first, it's not even scalable, but it works like hell, and it starts with a single ask. Hey, I'm Nate Tudis, and I'm the founder of MindVault and the creator of the 4 A's of business, a business model and a framework that's designed to help you attract your ideal client, acquire their information, acquire a purchase from that client, and then ascend them up your value ladder and automate that process all the way throughout. And in this week's video, I'm going to break down the number one way that all businesses should start for attracting their ideal client. The first A in business. But before I do that, let me share with you why specifically funnels aren't your starting line. The reason funnels aren't necessarily your starting line is because most people obsess over building funnels without 3 core things. They focus on building funnels without traffic, without trust, and without traction. And if you don't have those 3 things, then your funnel is going to struggle. I can tell you, I'm a professional funnel builder. I've built hundreds of funnels for my clients. And the one thing that will stop any funnel, it can be the absolute best funnel. It can have the greatest copy. It can convert like no other funnel, but a funnel cannot convert someone that doesn't ever come to it. So if you lack traffic to actually get to your funnel, it's going to be really difficult to actually get that funnel to convert. It's going to be hard to test the funnel to figure out what's going to work one way versus another, which headline is going to work best, which story is going to work best, or which call to action is going to work best if you don't have the right amount of traffic to actually go through that funnel. So I encourage all of my clients to actually not necessarily start with a funnel, but start by building a foundation so that you have the revenue that you can actually afford to either have someone help you with social, so you can build on social, and you can create organic traffic, or go into SEO or go into paid advertising. But all those things require either manpower, time, effort, energy, or the actual ability to invest in someone who's already specialized in that method of attraction. You see, funnels are tools, but they're only useful if you actually have proven copy that's actually convert with the traffic you can actually get to convert on that message. So in my personal opinion, if you are a coach or a consultant, you're an expert in some type of field, and you're under, we'll say $750,000 in annual revenue, then you would be much better off working with this first method of attraction to bring traffic to your funnels and actually start building revenue before you actually start going after the funnel itself. You don't have to be at $750,000 before you build your first funnel. In fact, I know people that have built funnels with no revenue whatsoever and scaled well beyond 7 figures. But the base that you should start with, your daily core actions that you should be focused on, should be these things right here. Do you remember at the beginning of the video where I told you there's this thing that helped me to scale beyond 6 figures and it wasn't sexy? In fact, at first it wasn't even scalable. Well, that's the power of networking and referrals. See, it's the way that I actually build multiple 6-figure businesses, and it's one of the best places that you can start by simply having conversations and making an ask on a regular daily basis. It's a muscle, it's a discipline that you actually build, and referrals actually help you to skip ahead in the know, like, and trust factor. You see, in order for somebody to buy from you, we all know that they have to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you. But when you get someone to refer you to them, then when you actually do that, what happens is that person then takes the ownership, they take the onus of saying, I know this person, I like them, and I trust them, and I'm going to recommend them to you. So it helps you to kind of fast forward in a whole portion of that know, like, and trust factor very quickly and get yourself to the point where you're going to be able to close sales faster and at a higher conversion percentage. It's a great way to actually establish your customer base, because once you actually establish that base of revenue and you have that referral muscle worked and you have it conditioned, so to speak, that you can go and you can actually use it on a regular basis, then you can go and leverage the revenue you're bringing in from referrals to hire someone to actually help you with the funnels, the traffic, the social media, and things like that. One of the reasons I'm so adamant about recommending referrals as a starting point is because that's how I started my entire business. It's actually how I actually started my entire career in the knowledge space. You see, I was at an event and the speaker said that we were actually going to quadruple our income in half the time. And remember that night I went back to my hotel, my resort, and I sat next to my wife and I said, there is no way that I can quadruple my income in half the time in the role that I'm currently in. I have to find a new way to do it. So I thought about the different roles I could get into, and the first thing I thought about was being a sales consultant. It was something that I always admired. I had a sales consultant that had a tremendous effect on my life, and I knew that was something I wanted to do, was to help other salespeople on their journey. So I sat with my phone, I literally opened it up, and I created a list of over 100 people on LinkedIn I was connected with who might have some type of a connection to that space, to the sales consulting space. And it happened to be the third person I reached out to reached back and said, not only do I know someone, but they're only about a half hour north of where you live, and I've already reached out and they'd be happy to have a meeting. I set up that meeting, we met, and I started working for that individual no more than a couple weeks later, right? After that point, he and I separated our businesses during COVID. I went off and started my own business at that point, and now I'm able to help other coaches and consultants to grow their business based on that everything that I've learned from that time and everything in between. So referrals can be extremely powerful because not only did it shift my entire life at that point, but when I started in my business, when I first started, I actually reached out to past clients that I had, past clients from when I was a sales manager long before, and actually reached out to them and started networking and figuring who needed help with the current offer that I had at that time. So referrals in and of themselves can be one of the most powerful ways to not only start, but to also scale your business. So let me share with you the simple discipline that will change everything in your business. I've seen this work for myself. I've also seen it work for a ton of my clients. And when I used to working with other companies, actually helping them to build out their sales teams, this was probably one of the most embarrassing exercises I went through, was when I would go into a sales team and I would ask them what their discipline was around asking for referrals. I've even done this with sales consultants that I've worked with where I've asked them. Some are really good. There's a big majority that are actually terrible when it comes to consistently asking for referrals. And so it's very simple. You set a number of how many referrals you're going to ask for each and every day. In fact, you can even say just each and every day of the business week if you want to. Some will reach out on weekends. But you set a number for how many referrals you're going to ask for each and every day, and then you stick to that discipline. So it's the same thing with working out. If you say that you're going to work out every single day, you get up and you work out every single day. It's non-negotiable. For me, in my life, a number of years ago, I set a discipline that I was going to wake up at 4 a.m., I was going to work out physically with weights, and I was going to do some type of cardiovascular exercise, whether it was a run or a walk. And I've done that every single day for the last 13, 14 years without fail. In fact, there are only 3 days that I ever didn't actually have that happen. And it was when my daughter was born, and she was born during COVID. So we were literally stuck in the hospital. And even then, I still did push-ups, I still did air squats, and I still did some burpees because I was stuck in the hospital room. I couldn't get the physical weights. I still did what I could, right? It's a daily discipline that you get in the habit of. And it's the same thing when it comes to selling. You get up, pick your 10 names if that's all you're going to do, and you reach out to those 10 people. If you get referrals that day, great. If you don't get referrals, that's okay. The next day is coming. It's boring, but it's also predictable, and it works. In this case, discipline is greater than the tools necessarily when you're actually building the base of your business. And we're talking about attracting people to your business. One of the most effective things you can do is get a system in place that allows you to consistently attract those people into your business. So let me share the 3-sentence framework, the 3-part framework that I use to consistently ask for referrals. And I do it so that it comes from a place of service and not a place of need. there's a very simple 3-step framework you can use when asking for a referral. And most of the time when I ask people why they don't necessarily ask for referrals, sometimes they'll say that they did when they first got started with their business, but once the business started growing, they simply forgot or they didn't think it was as important, so they neglected it. They didn't build it into a system, into a profit engine in their business to continuously bring in business for them, right? But there's a very simple 3-part framework that anybody can use to ask for a referral, and it's a way that actually comes from a place of service and not a place of need. So here's how it works. The 3 steps. Step 1, context or compliment. Give some type of context as to why you're reaching out, or compliment the person with a legitimate compliment, right? I might say, hey Dave, it's great that we got connected because I understand that you actually went to the same school as I went to, right? I'm going to give some type of context. I'm going to share our alma mater, so to speak, right? Or I might say, hey Dave, you made a great decision in actually joining this program. I'm going to compliment them on the decision that they just made. Step 2 is I'm now going to enroll them in my mission. I'm going to share who specifically the mission is for. I'm going to share how I actually help those individuals, and I'm going to share what outcome I typically get for them. So I might say, Dave, congratulations on making this great decision to join this program. As you probably know from our conversations, I'm on a mission. I'm going to share my mission, right? I'm on a mission to help as many sales consultants, B2B coaches, and NLP experts as I can to connect with as many of their ideal clients as possible so they can attract, acquire, and ascend those clients through their value ladder and get them greater and greater results. And then I'm simply going to say, and I'm just curious, and then I'm going to go to part 3, which is I'm going to make the ask. I'm just curious, would you happen to know anybody who would be a sales consultant, a B2B coach, or an NLP expert who would be looking to grow their business? And it's that simple. Then the person now has context around who specifically it is that I'm looking for, how specifically it is that I would be able to help them, and ideally an outcome I would be able to deliver with them. So again, the 3 steps: context or compliment, enroll in your mission, and make the ask. It's that simple. Steps 1, 2, 3, and you're already on your way to making referral requests that actually work. And now that you know the way to actually make a referral request using the 3-step framework, let's talk about the actual math behind referrals so that you understand the importance of actually bringing these into your business. If you simply made 10 asks a day, just 10 simple asks, and 25% of those people actually referred, and 30% of those people actually closed, do you realize that that would be 7 to 8 new clients per month? Now, if you're a coach or a consultant or an NLP expert, 7 to 8 new clients per month would be a significant increase in business based off of your pricing. And in most of the time, most of my clients that actually come to me that are looking for scale aren't even getting a consistent 7 to 8 clients a month, let alone building a system around asking for referrals where they could consistently do that on a regular basis, right? Imagine that you were actually looking to grow your business. You were looking to actually scale, and you had this system in place. And every person that came into the business simply had the task of asking 10 people a day. It's not actually that hard, because if you think about it, once you go through a list, you can actually repeat or recycle that list over time. So as you grow your customer base, that list tends to grow and expand. And every time you talk to a referral, if you ask that person for a referral as well, now 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3, and so on and so forth. So referrals themselves compound like interest. It has a compounding effect that most people tend to ignore, but when you build it into a system, it becomes one of the greatest methods for attraction that you can actually bring into your business, because it becomes a machine that allows you to then track and optimize. So now that you know all about referrals and actually using them to consistently grow your business, you know the way to actually ask, you know the math behind actually asking, you know the importance, the overall ability to actually use referrals to grow your business on a consistent basis. Let me share with you an example of how referrals kind of changed my world in a way I didn't necessarily expect. You see, I made referrals a daily habit. That's one of the things that I'm kind of known for, is being a little bit insane when it comes to actually having daily discipline. I make things non-negotiable, and then they happen. I thank the Marine Corps for that, right? Because they gave me that unique gift. But daily asks also created a space for me to be present with my family. You see, the more referrals I asked for, the more referrals I actually got back. The more it gave me the ability to actually leverage those connections and connect other people to that. So referrals gave me leverage before I actually had systems in place. Referrals were actually the first system that I put in place within my business, and it gave me a foundation. And that right there built trust, it built momentum, and with that, the funnels that I build were able to actually amplify those connections. They were able to actually take that, and I was able to take the traffic I was getting and start building that. I was also able to take the foundation of revenue that I actually had and invest it in the areas that I needed. Invested in masterminds so I could learn about being a better business owner. Invested in coaches so I could become a better entrepreneur overall. I could get better at traffic. I could get better at social. I could get better at video. I could get better at communicating. All those different things I was able to invest in because I had that foundation that I could actually work from. Now, some people will establish foundations in other ways. They get big contracts, or they go out there and they find a couple of big opportunities. But if you really want to establish a foundation for yourself, then one of the best things that you can actually do to give yourself space, to give yourself freedom, and to give yourself the ability to actually shut down the phone at night and spend time with your family. And one of the best things you can do is make the daily discipline, the daily habit of asking for referrals. So if you're tired of tweaking funnels that no one's seeking, stop guessing, start asking. This system is simple, it's proven, and it scales and it works because you work. So if you want help installing this inside of your business so you can finally build clarity and control, click the link below and join my free masterclass for the 4 A's of business. You'll learn how to attract the right clients, build compounding lead flow, and finally feel in control. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this, and drop a comment and let me know if this hits home, and let's keep the conversation going. See you next week.